Hello, my name is Rachel. If we've never met before, I like to share messages with the collective about having a happier and healthier life. And this is my first video in my very own apartment. I've always lived with people, and I was very excited and nerve-wracking to have my own place. It's been 3 weeks today? Yeah, 3 weeks today. There has been a lot of ups and downs. The first 2 weeks, I think, was Mercury retrograde, so kind of a lot was going on. It was just chaotic. And I am finally better. And something I wanted to share came up because I just spent time with someone in my life who is feeling pretty down and has gone through a very chaotic last couple weeks. And I said something to them like, I know what it feels like to feel helpless and hopeless. So that's kind of what I want the message to be. Not that this is what I want to say. We're all gonna feel helpless and hopeless at some point in life, right? And what was a struggle for me and a challenge for me is we don't really give people tools to cope with that, right? There are tools out there like substances or, putting yourself in dangerous situations, like risky situations. But we don't really talk about, like, it's okay to feel helpless or hopeless. It's okay to feel anything that you do feel. But again, I just think as a society and a culture and as a people, we have this weird, like, guilt and shame, like, you should always be happy, like, you should always have your life together, right? But I am just someone that has had a lot of, if you're into tarot, like, tower moments where, everything is kind of falling apart, and that feels very unsettling and scary, right? Like there isn't a sense of safety or security or certainty to hold on to at times in our life. And that is uncomfortable. Our brain doesn't like that, right? Our brain's trying to keep us alive and help us survive. And without some kind of tangible, thing to hold on to, that's why people turn towards, right, the substances or whatever. So I am a big proponent. Well, I can only speak from my journey, and that's through my journey I can share all these messages in a very, like, easy for me to see way and clear, succinct way. The spiritual side for me has been what's really changed my life. So I've seen, like, one reader in particular who's like, she was like, you're feeling helpless and hopeless, and that's okay. It won't last. Spirit likes to talk in metaphors. I know I have my tropical thing behind me. But one of the metaphors she gave me one time was, just because it's cloudy doesn't mean that the sun is still there, right? So that's what happens to us. Like, we're still a soul here, and a bright and beautiful soul that's here to expand and grow in these crazy cool ways. But some days it does feel like, right, like the tornado is out, like the thunderstorm is out, the clouds are out, and that storm is never gonna end. And believe me, I am an empath, and I'm sensitive, and I talk to people who suffer, and I know how much heaviness is on the planet. When I was a 7-year-old kid, I could feel it. I told my mom, I wish I wasn't born here. I was like, this place is intense. So I know there's a level to that, and the reason I share the messages that I do is because there are tools and ways to work through that stuff, and a lot of people are never going to use the tools, and they're going to sit and be a victim, and that's okay. It's a choice you can make. It's right. If you're getting excited, this reality, we have free will and free choice. So if we're walking down a path, right, we're walking down a long path of life, however long your life is here, we have choices, right? And we do have, as a soul, you chose your family, you chose where to incarnate, right? So you're learning the messages from your family and your social conditioning, and like, I look at my life pretty blessed. I had parents that were educated, and there weren't really substances in my house, right? And I was very much an overachiever and academically inclined and I was good at school and it came easy to me, right? But I have challenges. Literally everyone has challenges and problems, right? My dark side or flip side or something that I have experienced as I've become an adult and going on this spiritual path is that sometimes the path feels very isolating and lonely. Like, I got to see this person tonight who I have known since I've been in 6th grade, right? And it's a very special place in my heart and a relationship, and I love that relationship and I cherish it. And, you know, they're at a different place where they have friends that are there more consistently, and I've had a lot of like friends come and go. I've had a lot of chapters, and you know, so it's kind of like, oh man, like, why don't I get that, right? So it's like our brain, as long as you have a brain, you're going to constantly be processing and comparing and like taking in information, right? But it's your job to create meaning from the information you take in. So although that is true that I've had this path that can feel isolating sometimes, I'm at a high vibration tonight, and I think that is because I had, you know, 2+ weeks of like feeling like I was getting kicked around and just not getting anywhere, right? So I know those cycles, to know that once we go through challenges, you can kind of flip out on the other side. And at least for me, I'm at like this new vibration. It's almost like a step stool or a staircase that I see. Like, I'd get to the next level and I'm like, I didn't even know things could be like this when I was at this one. And like, that actually happened because yesterday I think I saw a girl in a Facebook group here locally. She's like, my boyfriend's going to a party and I can't go. I don't want to be alone on a Friday night. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many people that are still in that, right? Like, I was very conditioned into that. Like, I need to be busy every Friday and Saturday night, and that didn't happen. But people are so conditioned, they're so freaked out to be alone. And I have a feeling someone who watches this video is in that cycle. And I can tell you that you can overcome that if you sit with your shadow and you do your inner work. It is something that can happen, because I don't feel that way anymore. I've also had a lot of hard lessons of having expectations, and those were shattered, right? Like, in many, many different ways. So all that meaning that I created with that, right, is how can I be happy no matter what happens externally? And again, there's going to be days that are tougher, and that's not the case. But yeah, even this week too, even just a couple days ago, there was a author / coach in this kind of shadow workspace that I love so much who has passed away. And my feed is, you know, there's a lot of women in particular that like learned a lot from her, and I barely, you know, listened to her stuff, and I had a lot of takeaways. So I've seen that she was sick and then she passed away, and then I've also seen that she decided to end her own life. So I don't know, I guess, which one is true. The latter, right? I think when I first read that, because she doesn't old, she has, you know, 2 young kids. That is a like, oh my gosh, if someone who, you know, taught so many, like, the book is Existential Kink. So she talked about when we go through this really messed up stuff, like the suffering and the helplessness and the hopelessness, she understood, or the takeaway or message was, there's a part of me that likes that, right? So it was like the kink part of it was like, there's a part of me that loves that suffering and that stupid, nasty cycle. So like, really harness it and embrace it. And what if you got turned on by that, you know? So again, my takeaway with that is sometimes this life is really messed up. So again, how in your own head can you twist it to still be okay and get pleasure out of it and have positive takeaways, right? Because again, there are people that get away with stuff over and over again. There are people that bully other people their whole lives. There are, you know, just, there's so many challenges, right? There are so many challenges. But back to that main message of, it's okay to feel helpless and hopeless sometimes. My recommendation and tools would be learning how to just take care of yourself in those moments. Give yourself a nice bath. Just even like light touch, touch is so incredibly healing, you guys. It's so important for us, and we don't really get it enough, and we only really get it, in I think one kind of intimate way, which isn't bad, but we just need a lot more touch. Go for a walk, go sit by a tree, like just hang out with your pets, learn how to cry, learn how to stomp, learn how to hit your pillow. Like, you have to process that stuff as it happens, and we just don't. And because we don't do that, we have so many problems and things that come to light and come to be. And this is all I can do, is I can have my part in it and say, here's my story, here are my takeaways, here's what I would do if I was going through. And I've gone through stuff like that. Today is my half birthday. I'm 32 and a half today. So when I was young, right, I was, like I said, overachiever, very shy and quiet. Elementary school was easy for me. I got straight A's in middle school. I was an athlete. I had friends. And then high school, my friend group was kind of not the same as it was in middle school. And then my parents split up when I was 16. I did probably grow up with chronic anxiety. I had stomach aches all the time growing up. But high school, as a 16-year-old, I was like, oh, wow, like, what? Like, my life completely changed. And then I moved in college because I didn't want to be here, and my health got extremely worse, way worse. So I was a college kid, and I didn't like going out and partying and drinking anyway, but I was a college kid with crazy anxiety and depression. Like, that's what college was for me. Basically junior year, well, freshman year, I had insomnia. I had the stomach issues still. Sophomore year, I started to gain weight. I probably kind of started to experience depression. And then after junior year, I had crazy depression. I had gained weight. I was so inflamed. And then senior year, I had mono, and I don't even know how I made it through, honestly. And then I was in the adult world, and I always hate transitions. I hate change. This was a really hard change to move to this apartment. I never liked, school to summer. I never liked summer to school, like change and transition. I'm a fixed Aquarius, big time, like fixed sign. I don't like change. I've learned to embrace it more, but it's just always still hard for me. But then in my 20s, I basically like went through my first breakup, and that's what started this whole spiritual ascension and meeting my twin flame. And then I had another one, and then like finding astrology and like all this meaning and going on this crazy journey and self-development and personal discovery and learning about the quantum and cellular healing. And for me, it was very much connected to those physical symptoms that I had as a kid. And then I went deeper into the emotional healing of like feeling safe, or daddy issues, or my nervous system, right? Like, I was so sensitive, and I was taking on everyone's stuff my entire life, and how that really impacted me. Like, I had thyroid issues, I had gut issues, I had weight gain when I had never gained weight before, I had acne, I had I had parasites, I had, you name it. If I haven't had it, I've had a lot of sick days in my life. So I've spent a lot of time and energy and money into healing and changing my diet and healing my leaky gut and rewiring my nervous system and overcoming so much. And that has also led to new thought patterns and changing my mental body, right? And I've overcome a lot in my emotional body and my physical body and my spiritual body, right? Like, I'm, that's kind of my saving grace, honestly. So through all that, I can hopefully share messages that make sense to people. And you don't have to be, just like a meditating monk. That's not what spirituality is. It's, the way I see it is, you're a soul. So we're all souls on this planet, and on this planet there's a reality, there's light and dark and everything in between. So that's why sometimes we feel elated and so good, and so much dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and all those feel-good chemicals that we chase, right? That's the pleasure. And then we also experience pain, which is helplessness, hopelessness, grief, loss, anger, hurt, trauma, like whatever that is. And then there are lots of days in the middle where it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm just chilling, like on the days when we feel really bad, we miss those days where there isn't much happening, right? Even though we're kind of chasing the days where it's like elated, heaven on earth, my honeymoon, my marriage, like, oh, best day of my life. Like, there's everything here. And it's also a marathon. Like, as long as you're in a human body and brain, you're gonna be experiencing all this stuff, sometimes on the same day. Usually for me, again, I go through kind of cycles, like a couple weeks, and then I have like really cool, crazy, spiritual, awesome days. Like last Saturday for me was finally a breakthrough. It was like, this is a good day. Like, I needed this so bad, but I had to wait for a really long time. But just be aware of that, and like, just be so present to everything in your life. Like, my mom's dog, she's gone now for a couple months, but I remember just so many moments where I was present with her, and I was like, yo, like, I love you, like, I love spending time with you. I knew she wasn't going to be around forever, right? And I was just very, very intentional. Like, I love this dog, I love spending time with her. I wanted to sink that into, my memory, my senses experience of that. And the other thing, as whatever, I like to, I don't know if I'm a coach or healer or guide, right? I just have a lot of information that I can share with people. And what was I gonna say? And what you do with all of this information is what's your next step. I know there are a lot of macro things at play, right? We have 24/7 access to just like so much stimulus. It's a lot. So if you are sensitive like me, right, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I need my nature time. Today I like took a nap. I'm not really a napper, but I laid down on this yoga mat earlier. I watched things that made me laugh today. Like, you really got to be intentional about what you're putting into your body food wise, what messages you're taking in, like media, right? What you're ingesting media wise, and the messages. And again, the meaning that I talked about, like, I'm kind of tempted to like journal a little bit or just write like certain memories right now, and the meaning of this life, because I think a lot of people just let things slip away, or they're not intentional about it, or we're not always going to understand everything, but being so seen and heard by someone can be really, really healing. And I do pray and I hope that people can find that. And that's another kind of, not shadow part for me, but I spend a lot of time alone, and that's okay. But again, for a long time I was conditioned to believe that's not okay. But the people that I do spend time with, or when I spend time with people or talk to them, I am very seen and heard, and I am very authentic, and I am very real. And I think a lot of people spend time with people to just not be alone, and it's very surface level, and it's so not me. But I think outside looking in, or at least the message I've gotten, right, is you have to be social all the time, and I literally can't do it, so I don't. And again, when I do spend time with people, it's very intentional, and I am pretty protective of myself, and I am very aware, right, of my surroundings and who feels good to me and who does not feel good to me. And I will leave you with the person that I got to spend time with tonight. Again, I've known him for a long time. but he was vulnerable, and like, it was so sad because he was like, I feel like I was, even as a little boy, like I didn't feel safe at nighttime, and like nighttime is, you know, scary for me. And I think the takeaway or the message is, yeah, we need to feel safe on this planet, but there are so many things that there are so many choices that others have made, and maybe choices that we have made, where we don't feel safe. So again, be very, very aware of that. Like, if you have never felt safe before due to living circumstances or family or whatever, how you've chosen to create safety or certainty can sometimes be self-sabotagey or very substance related, or, you know, FOMO, but it's like, they don't even, like, people don't even make you happy anyway. Like, feeling safe is a nervous system game. It's about rewiring your brain to tell your brain, hey, I can feel safe, and I can feel seen and heard, and just grounded and rooted and supported. And if you haven't felt grounded and rooted and supported, what do you need to do to create that? Do you need to go to a free group? Is there one person you can find out there that can listen? You know, like, is it learning about yourself? Is it taking a course? Is it listening to a podcast? Just, what's that very next step to start creating safety? Especially if you're feeling helpless and hopeless. But that's okay sometimes to just feel those feelings. Like I said, go take a walk, take care of yourself, give yourself a lot of grace and love. You can literally send white, unconditional light through your body, through your being. You can literally send yourself pink, unconditional love, you know, whatever you need to do. But I hope this message finds you well. I hope I see you soon, and I hope you take care of yourself.